If you or a loved one are struggling with type 2 diabetes, you should visit the link in the description below. This clinically proven, drug-free program lowers blood sugar to a normal level and can completely reverse type 2 diabetes within just a few weeks. Here's today's video.
The question, what are the real causes of diabetes? Answer by Thyme Win-U-C-Tin. There are various types of diabetes mellitus, DM, of which the most common are. There are other types of diabetes mellitus which have various causes, most of them being genetic. Answer by Sarah Hallberg. Type 1 and type 2 diabetes are two different diseases. Type 1 diabetes is an autoimmune disease that prevents the pancreas from producing adequate amounts of insulin to maintain normal blood sugar levels. This form of diabetes is usually diagnosed in children and young adults. The exact cause is unknown, but genetics and environmental factors may play a role in this disease. Like type 1 diabetes, the exact cause of type 2 diabetes is hard to pinpoint, but it is likely that genetics and lifestyle play a role in the development of insulin resistance, which ultimately can lead to type 2 diabetes when left untreated. When someone has insulin resistance, their body cells struggle to respond to the effects of a normal amount of insulin. The job of insulin is to reduce glucose, so when the body doesn't respond to insulin, it eventually causes high blood sugar. However, first, the pancreas tries to fix the high blood sugar by producing even more insulin. Prolonged increases in insulin can lead to weight gain, increased triglycerides, increased blood pressure, and decreased HDL, good cholesterol, and eventually prediabetes and type 2 diabetes if not treated. The reason that this progression occurs is that eventually the cells that make insulin burn out from having to produce a higher than normal amount of insulin, often for years. Once the insulin-producing cells in your pancreas can't keep up, this is when blood sugars start to rise, and rise. The dietary guidelines for Americans has been recommending that you eat a high-carb, low-fat diet for decades. This recommendation is detrimental for someone that is carb intolerant because it encourages regular consumption of starchy foods that inevitably cause high blood sugar. A low-carb, high-fat, ketogenic diet is a much more appropriate, and science-based, approach for someone that is carb intolerant because it will keep blood sugar and insulin under control. This guide does a great job of describing what type 2 diabetes is and what causes it, and I have a video series on the topic here, Reversing Diabetes 101 with Sarah Hallberg, The Truth About Carbs, Blood Sugar and Reversing Type 2 Diabetes. Answer by Keck Medicine of USC. Little known factors that lead to diabetes. What are some of the lifestyle, genetics and other not so obvious factors that can trigger diabetes? What can you do to prevent this condition? Diabetes is a chronic condition associated with abnormally high levels of sugar, glucose, in the blood. It affects over 29.1 million people in the U.S., 9.3% of the population in the U.S. Another 86 million Americans have prediabetes and aren't even aware of it. The cause of diabetes is the absence or insufficient production of the hormone insulin, which lowers blood sugar in the body. Two types of diabetes. There are two types of diabetes, type 1 and type 2, which are also known as insulin-dependent and non-insulin-dependent diabetes. Type 1 diabetes is less common, it affects only 1 in 250 Americans and only occurs in individuals younger than age 20. It has no known cure. A majority of type 2 diabetes cases can be prevented or cured. Signs and symptoms. Among the symptoms of type 1 and type 2 diabetes are various factors. Research has proven that there are certain lifestyle and genetic factors that lead to diabetes. Among them are: get the glucose blood test. If you are concerned about having some of the symptoms, you can ask your doctor for a fasting blood glucose, sugar, test, which is the preferred way to diagnose diabetes. You need to fast for at least 8 hours before the test. Fasting blood samples that contain more than 126 mg/dl on 2 or more tests on different days indicate diabetes. A random blood glucose test of 200 mg/dl or higher also indicates diabetes. Long-term damage. Diabetes can cause major damage to the body over time. It can hurt the heart, blood vessels, eyes, kidneys and nerves. Adults with diabetes also have a 2 to 3 times increased risk of heart attacks and strokes, according to the World Health Organization. Reduced blood flow also cause nerve damage in the feet, which can lead to ulcers, infection and eventually, limb amputation. Diabetic retinopathy can also lead to blindness. That's why it is important to get diagnosed and begin taking control of this condition as soon as possible. Lifestyle cures. Here are 5 lifestyle changes you can use to treat or prevent diabetes. 1. Losing 10 pounds, even over several years, can reduce the risk of diabetes by 50%. 2. Reducing intake of high sugar foods. 3. Consuming the right dietary fats. Always go for olive oil, which has anti-inflammatory benefits instead of saturated fats, which build up insulin resistance. 4. Regularly exercising, 150 minutes a week, is one of the best weapons against diabetes. By keeping muscles active, you can improve sensitivity to insulin. Regular aerobic exercises such as running, swimming and biking also improve blood pressure. 5. Flavor your food with spices such as cinnamon, black pepper, thyme and turmeric, all of which improve glucose tolerance. If you think you may be at risk for diabetes, talk to your primary care physician.